Python and AWS Lambda plus Twilio, and the main goal is to create a simple app, text messaging app, where you can actually play around with, and of course create something even more complex. I'm gonna text myself something here. So my name's Daria Henry. I'm at Developer Town Starts. We're like a startup founder program. You could say incubator in a way. We work with, I think, about 9 companies now and helping them, create their market fit, scale, and all that good stuff. So the guidelines for this app really just create a proof of concept texting app that you can get done in like 30 minutes with, a little knowledge about AWS, but it should be really fast. No servers, so we're going to avoid all the server setup, and don't know a lot about Python. So I'm definitely this guy that doesn't know a lot about it. I've used it for like Raspberry Pi, and in general, any project that I just want to get done and I can find some proof of concept code. I've done a lot of different languages, but not too much with Python. So the inspiration for this was learned about AWS Lambda. I wanted to learn more about it, and I had an idea about Call Me in 5. The main concept was you're in meetings you don't want to be in anymore, or you could be on a date or something like that. So instead of having a friend call you, you can just text Call Me in 5. Just put in like the number of minutes, like 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and it'll call you back and interrupt you. You can pretend like you're important and you got to go. So that was inspiration. You can actually try it out. If you want to, you can text it 13. If you want me to be quiet in 13 minutes, you can get a call. So there's a number up there. It's 317-854-0143. So if you want to text, try that out. Let me know if you think it works. But it'll just call you, interrupt you, and say hello and all that good stuff. I have used it to get out of a couple unnecessary meetings. I'll say that. All right, so that's the inspiration. Technologies used for this particular demo, I didn't use everything. So Call Me in 5 was a lot more complex. This one's a lot simpler. So we just use AWS Lambda, AWS API Gateway, Python 2.7, and Twilio. Getting started, kind of feel bad. I'm at a Python meetup, and it just does not actually take that much code. When you see it, you're going to be like, that barely counts as Python. But you actually end up doing more Lambda and API Gateway configuration than code in this case. So this would be the minimum amount of code you would need, is just simply a method and a return. Of course, we do a little bit more than that, but if you set this up, you can have a text messaging app. So I just walked through the steps. Obviously, I'm kind of glaze over a few things, but this is all in a GitHub repo if you want to view later. So initially, you want to go into AWS and create your Lambda. And let me ask this, how many people have experience with Lambda, AWS Lambda? Okay, cool. So you guys already know all this good stuff. So you'll just want to create a function from scratch, and then give it a name, select your runtime, which is Python 2.7, create a custom role, which is, all this stuff is really easy. It just walks you through it. Create a new IAM role. It already has a default name. You just go with that and save it. And then that'll land you on your actual function. At that point, you'll see here, you have the ability to add an API gateway. So you just click on that. It'll show up here. And then down here, you can actually configure it. So you just want to create a new API. You name it whatever you want. I just gave it the name of the function plus underscore API. Enter in a deployment stage. So that can be like production, test, QA, whatever you want to call it. I just call it development, since this is just development environment I want to try out. For security, I just left it open so I can avoid all the just extra debugging, trying to figure out if I got authorization correct or not. So I just left it open. Obviously, you don't want to do that. If you really do it, set up some auth when you create your Lambda or API gateway. So this is the code that we'll be adding. It's just a simple set up a method, called it Lambda handler. What we do is grab the message that comes in. So it's an event body. We also can get the phone number as well. And then I just have a simple case statement. So based on whatever you text, not whatever, but as long as it's within this actual statement here, if you text start, it'll return a different message. If you actually text in 2, it'll give you something else. So it's just a really simple, it's basically a trivia app, and you'll see more about it later, but it's a really good way to get some interaction with users, et cetera. So as far as adding code, all you want to do in your local environment is create a new folder, a new project folder. Add a file called lambda function.py, and you can put that code in there. You'll also want to download the Python Twilio library, which is in a GitHub repo. Just download it, put it in your folder, and then create a zip file of Lambda and the Twilio folder. You got to be sure not to do the parent folder. You just have to select both of those and create a zip file, and then you want to upload that zip file into Lambda. And then what you'll see here, you just drop your code in. You'll see Twilio over here on the side. I have a few methods because I was testing a few things, a few files, I mean. Yeah, so all your files will upload there. Then you want to create a test. So when you're dealing with Lambda and the API gateway, there's a few places it can fail along the way, so you just want to actually test your Lambda function. So you can just create a test package that you want to send. And yeah, you'll just come over to the test drop-down up here and click on Configure Test Events. And then you can actually create just a little package, the body, the from, and then save that. When you run through the test, you can find any syntax errors or logic errors you may have. So the next step will be configuring your API in the API gateway, which you already created, so you just need to jump over there, and then you'll come in here and actually create a method, an actual get method, and it'll drop it right here, and then you'll just go in. Again, everything's pre-filled, so you just want to come down here and actually enter in your Lambda function. So all that does is connect the API to your Lambda, and then you'll land on a screen like this, which lays out the steps. The only thing we're concerned about here as far as changing is the integration request, the method response, and the integration response. And it's really simple, small changes to make all this work properly. For the integration request, from Twilio, it sends over, it's a GET request. And so all you need to do is pull the parameters out of the query string and then convert that into a JSON package. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm saying the content type is application JSON, and then coming in here and setting body and from to the input parameters. The next one will be method response, which is just application. This is what comes back out from your Lambda and goes back into Twilio. So you want to set that to application XML, and that's literally all you have to do for that one. And then the next one is integration response. And this is where you actually want to use the format that Twilio requires for their response XML. So you just put that in there, and then this input root is the actual text you return from your Lambda function. And the last step that's really important is actually deploy your API. I was debugging this for like 20 minutes, and I realized I didn't hit the deploy button. So if you don't deploy, it doesn't go out, and it won't work. So do that, and then once you do that, your API is published, and it should work all the way through to your Lambda function. And again, you can test this using Postman or something like that in order to see if it's working. Twilio, I'm not going to go into detail here, but create an account, create a new phone number. You go into Manage Numbers, Active Numbers, select your phone number, and then you want to edit your messaging webhook. All you have to do is take your endpoint that you get from your API gateway, paste that into this line here where it says a message comes in. So that's when a text message comes in. It'll post or it'll send a request over to this API endpoint, and then you need to change this from post to get. And once you do that, it's working. That's all you have to do. So it's really quick, easy setup, minimal code, and follow those steps. You should be able to create a simple texting app. And of course, you can have fun and modify it. I started off with a really small app like this and then created some like 4 to 5 Lambda methods with DynamoDB, all kinds of stuff going on. So this is what you end up with. If you want to try it out, to prove that I'm not lying, you can go to you can text this number on the screen, 317-827-7668. Just text start to it. You should get like the trivia app, like you saw here. You can answer it, give different responses. Yeah, and it should work. Let me know if it doesn't. Hopefully it does. Yeah, so if you want to connect, you want me to keep the number up by any chance? If you want to connect, like all this, the code I did is in GitHub. My email is dhenry@developertown. You can also hit me on Twitter or whatever it may be. So.
Did you get that phone number, or did you choose it, or how did it come out?
Yeah, you just add I can't remember the details because I did this a while back, but I think you can choose from a list of available numbers in Twilio. You can add one. They're like $1 a month or something like that. Any other questions?
Without going to AWS and find out, can I, from a desktop from script, can I access Visual and expect text message to be sent to some other actual number?
Yeah, you should be able to do that. I know I haven't tested that, but I know you can. Just through a curl request. You can just use curl and post to the Twilio API, and it should work just fine. Yep.
Is it possible to integrate something like this into like an actual Android app?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. Oh, sorry about that. That was a good point. The question was, can you integrate something like this into an Android app? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure they come with a library that you can use on Android also to make it a lot easier. But thanks again. Thanks for having me.